Okay, we are up here on the mountain. Spent the night last night. We hiked in a couple miles. Forrest and I just wanted to talk about some of the gear that we chose to bring. This will be more of a conversation style video, so if you're not interested in this, you'll probably get bored. But I went with a full SITKA kit. He went with a full Stone Glacier kit. And to start off, we're just going to break down everything that we chose to wear. So you want to break down what you got on?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of start from the top down. Nothing on for my headwear is Stone Glacier. It's just a standard ball cap and a standard beanie. But for my top layers, I got the Chinook Merino long sleeve, followed by the Stone Glacier Helio hoodie and the Grumman down jacket that you see here. For my bottoms, I have the Stone Glacier Merino boxers. No base layers aside from that, the Havilland pants, and I'm also using the Stone Glacier SQ2 Alpine gaiters.
And then I went with the Jetstream jacket, and then underneath that I have the Kelvin Aerolite, their synthetic puffy or synthetic insulation layer. Underneath that is the ambient hoodie, and then the base layer is the midweight, the core midweight zip tee, I think they call it. And then I have the heavyweight bottoms and the Timberline pant with the SITKA gaiters as well. I think the biggest mistake we both made was bringing uninsulated boots though.
This is very true. Too stubborn for our own good sometimes. But.
Yeah. But one thing I did notice, bit of a tangent, but talking about boots, he's got the Kenetrek Mountain Extreme. I've got the Hanwag Alverstone. And your boots last night didn't soak up as much water when we were by the fire, did they?
No, my boots really didn't, but I've had them for about 3, possibly 4 years now, and I oil them regularly, so that might have helped me out too.
Right, and I honestly don't know if these Hanwags are leather or a synthetic material, but they soaked up a fair amount of water. It never went through, so they're still held their waterproofness. The problem there is this morning you're putting your feet into a brick of a boot.
Yeah, they were stiff for sure.
But
did we already go through the environmentals, the stats for the night?
No, I guess. No? Yeah, we came in here. It was about 27 degrees on the hike in, sunny, so it was honestly pretty hot. And then it got down to about 10 degrees last night. We had a fire going for quite a while, and then slept in a cold little one-man tent.
Yeah, we dug our own snow caves. It's about a 4-foot dig to get down to some solid snow. Actually, on my side, we came to the top side of a T-post, so there's a lot of snow beneath the tents. But yeah, this is just kind of an impromptu speak to full cold weather kit from both names, Stone and SITKA, and overall, I was pleased. I was very pleased.
Of course, I mean, this top of the line gear.
Yep.
What I did find interesting was it was warm yesterday when we were hiking in here, snowshoeing, but still working hard, getting through fresh snow. And you were in that puffy the whole time, which interested me.
That's mostly because I was the trail element. I was letting Brady lead the way. So I was strictly in a thermal management type mindset, just kind of monitoring my body heat. And then as soon as I did start to get a little sweaty, I did take off the puffy, especially when it came to digging out the snow cave. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
I ended up hiking the whole way in here with the core midweight fleece underneath and then the ambient hoodie. And I found that ambient hoodie was a really great outer layer for being active. Not surprised because I've used it a fair amount, but even in that like 27 degrees of winds coming by, the sun was warming us obviously, but I thought that was pretty ideal.
Yeah, that's definitely a good piece.
What'd you think of that puffy?
I think the Grumman down is a good puffy. At some point, you could even throw out there that a puffy is a puffy, but this puffy, it feels good. It's not the thickest puffy like some of the other products that are out there, but it's definitely thick enough that, I mean, last night, 10 degrees, if I were outside of my tent, doing my business, then it was still adequately warm. It's quality product, zippers and everything, hardware, it's good to go. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I definitely like the way the hood fits too. It's a good, I guess they call it an athletic fit with the cinch in the back to get good positive retainment around your circumference of your melon. And I mean, I appreciate it. I've used this down jacket for quite extensively all through last season and then now into this spring. So I like it a lot, yeah.
Sweet. I ended up going with the synthetic actually, because I'm not personally a fan of Sitka's current down offering.
I agree there. Yeah.
The Kelvin light down.
It's
It's
something to be desired.
It's fine. It's a good like mid warmth down, but if I'm getting a down coat, I want something that's like maximum heat, maximum packability. And that one is not super lightweight. It's also got this crunchy feel to it. So I ended up going with the Aerolite. Been super happy with it in terms of heat retention. The one thing I noticed last night, I was sleeping with the hood up, and it's got a little adjuster for the hood that was right at the back of my head. So I had to take that hood off and put my ambient hood on.
Oh, I've got one of those little drawstring cinches back there too, but I didn't even happen to notice it myself.
Really?
I might have been too focused on cold toes, but you know how it goes.
It was cold.
My toes did get cold in that 0-degree bag last night. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that being said, I mean, back to the Grumman down jacket, I'd say it's good down to 0 degrees, honestly.
Yeah.
As long as you're not too sedentary for too long, I think it's a good piece. And if you are sedentary for just a moment and you're getting a little chilly, I mean, for me, I just get up and move around, kind of generate my own little bit of body heat, you know? Like I did first thing this morning when I came out of the tent, threw on the snowshoes. Fortunately, we had that trail cut from when we came in, and I just walked up and down it a good, maybe even a dozen times to kind of get warm, you know?
You got to move in this. Definitely. Let's talk about mid layers, because that's one of the biggest differences is I've got on the ambient hoodie, right?
Yeah.
And you've got the grid fleece from Stone Glacier.
Yeah, there's a lot more. I bet you're going to see a lot better performance with that product there from SITKA than you are with the Helio from Stone.
Yeah.
The Helio from Stone, kind of like you said, it's just a traditional grid fleece. It's a quality product. I dig it. I've used it a lot.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's not going to perform the same as something that has, I guess you'd call it technology.
Yeah, I mean, it is and it isn't, right? But they call it active insulation, and it definitely works.
No, I'm comfortable with the Helio for my mid layer, just because when I go for the mid layer, I have full expectation of what that mid layer is going to be like.
Sure.
And I know how to adapt my performance, you know, on the trail, for example, to kind of suit my layering too. You can't just gear up and go full bore, full send, and then just get all, you know, too sweaty. You got to be kind of conscious of your efforts too.
That's a good point too, is like, you don't necessarily have to have the best mid layer if you know how to layer for that piece. Like knowing what you have and how it performs is just as important as getting a high performing piece. Yeah,
and that really came down to kind of like our snowshoeing in. Brady was, you know, way ahead of me. We won't say necessarily why that was. We'll leave it at that. But, you know, I know that I had the grid fleece on for my mid layer, and I know I wanted to kind of mitigate my sweat and perspiration. And that was part of my, you know, thermal management, if you will, too.
Sure. Totally.
So,
one of the biggest differences, because I've worn some fair amount of Stone Glacier stuff as well, and you've worn a fair amount of SITKA. I would say one of the biggest differences between the two is the offering of the ambient hoodie versus the grid fleece, but then Stone Glacier offers a true cold weather pant, whereas SITKA, they've got their blizzard parka pants or whatever, and then their waterfowl gear, which is incredibly warm.
right.
But in terms of for their big game collection, the Timberline pant is the thickest pant that they offer for their cold weather hunts. You've got the Havilland pant on.
I do. So the de Havilland, I mean, I wouldn't go for the de Havilland if it was, you know, 50 degrees, 45 degrees. But if it's down like it has been, mid 20s for the high and, you know, 10 or lower for the overnight low, de Havilland, although it's less breathable, I mean, it suits me and my body style very well. Like I said, I don't have any base layers on, and my legs have not been cold the entire trip, just toes. So.
Did you sweat?
I don't think I did sweat. When we were digging the snow cave, I was sweating with my upper body, but I don't think I sweat the entire trip on my lower body. And that's with them not being quite as breathable too.
Right, and you didn't have the zippers open or anything, huh?
No, I will say, in colder weather with you know, thicker gloves where you don't have that dexterity, They come with a lanyard for your side zips, which you can dump heat in a hurry. But I did notice when I wanted to, I reached over to the right and that lanyard had fallen off, probably in the washer machine in all honesty. And well, you got to take your glove off. It's not a big deal, but it is worth mentioning. It's
Little
nice
things.
to be able to have a lanyard where you know it's going to be there,
Right.
just for ease of use.
And then on the Timberline pant, there are no hip zips, which, I mean, I get it in terms of cutting cost or cutting weight with the zippers, but personally, I'm a huge fan of hip zips. And these pants don't have them. They don't really need them because they're so breathable. This is a very thin polyester material. It holds some heat, but not a ton. It blocks some wind, but not a ton. Lets heat out pretty well when you're active. I obviously have the heavyweight bottoms underneath this, which is just a grid fleece long john. But I think in these conditions, especially if it was any colder, if we had any stronger winds, I would very much prefer something like the de Havilland.
Yeah, I think I mean, from experience last fall, in all honesty, these pants do cut the wind very well, very well.
Yeah, and you're going to get a little more durability, even though, you know, I've got reinforced knee pads and reinforced butt. Having just this thinner, stretchy polyester when you're out getting firewood or busting through brush in the snow, you're not able to be very careful about where you're stepping and how easy you are on your gear.
Yeah, and I'm not real good at that myself. Like,
Anyways.
I do have a mental mindset of like thermal management, for example, but when it comes to just kind of, you know, whether or not my clothing's going to hold up, I'm not picking and choosing my route on the mountain just based on, you know, ensuring that my pants don't rip. Either they're going to hold up or they're not, or they don't. Yeah, and then, I mean, fortunately, stone does hold up.
Yeah, totally.
Caveat there, I am a little bit, I do choose wisely when I do have a puffy on, if I happen to be moving with a puffy on, just because I don't know if there is a puffy that offers good, you know, abrasion resistance. It's just not the intent of the product.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
You got to take it easy there. But then I'd go back to having the Kelvin under the Jetstream. I've found that it's been plenty warm for this trip, especially with the ambient underneath the Kelvin. It's a little more breathable than any down layer is going to be. So I've got less loft, I guess. So my layers are closer to my body. It's still plenty warm, but there's also plenty of durability with the Jetstream jacket on top. And I got some protection over snow and or condensation, getting your gear wet. Having the Jetstream keeps you drier and it blocks the wind. So it's kept me plenty warm. Obviously, it's a heavier setup than just a puffy.
Yeah, I could see that being the case.
Yeah, so I'm looking probably twice, maybe even 3 times the actual weight of the puffy for thermal retention. Mm-hmm. But then I've got the benefit of being able to have if it warms up, we get a slush storm.
Yeah,
I'll be okay in this. Whereas if you're just in a puffy,
yeah, but I'd have to
need
throw on
something.
another layer to compensate for that moisture. But
that's also just packing for your conditions, knowing what it's going to be when you're going out, knowing what kind of gear you should bring.
Yep.
So it's not a apples to apples thing.
Nope, just tailoring your kit for the conditions that you're going to go out to. So
last thing, let's talk about gaiters.
Gaiters, I'm going to lead this one. The Stone Glacier SQ2s, I love them. Having used several gaiters in the past, Kenetrex, a little bit of the SITKAs, and these SQ2s all last season, by far my favorite. Highest quality of craftsmanship. I mean, they have a Dyneema cordage bootstrap. It held up very well. The one-piece pinless aluminum buckle, it's not prone to failure in rocky terrain, you know, when it's dry and arid. Mm-hmm. Breathable enough, you know, if you put these on in too early season, you're going to be sweating. But hopefully you don't need gaiters in anyway. But, I mean, these things are, shoot, I'd almost say they're almost bulletproof for a gaiter. They're fully rebuildable, too, and I appreciate that. Rather than have to buy another $120 gaiter or whatever they may be, you know. So I think they're about as well designed as they could be. And then I put them outside my tent. Where'd you keep your gaiters last night?
Outside the tent.
Outside the tent, like under the rain fly in the vestibule? Or?
Yes.
I did the same. And this morning they were just a sheet of frozen fabric. But shoot, I think I was able to put them on and fully don them in, you know, maybe 2 minutes per gator.
There you go.
I'll take that as a win.
Yeah.
So, and then once they were on, they started breaking in and kind of getting that flexibility back to themselves, you know. But anyway, how'd the SITKAs do?
I've been happy with them. I hadn't actually worn the SITKA gators before. I've tried a lot of other types. I never ended up using the SITKA gators. So this is kind of a first impression.
Okay.
So I can't speak to the durability, but it is their Gore-Tex fabric, their Stormfront fabric or whatever. It's going to be waterproof. It's going to hold up. It's pretty proven fabric. In terms of design, excuse me, man, it's cold out here.
Yeah, jaw's getting a little stiff.
Yeah, it's got a normal, just the same kind of strap you'd see on most gators, that kind of plasticky. I don't really know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know that material, but
works fine.
It's not rebuildable. I'll say that. You know.
No,
what I mean?
And they do break. I mean, I've worn out a couple pairs of gators before with that same. One thing I appreciate about them is they have this rubberized cover, so when you are hitting your gators together, you're not tearing them apart. Also, on this side, everything's internal. So you've got some gators that'll have like a belt loop or a belt clip on the outside, and that'll catch on brush. If you're hitting that against the gators because you put them on backwards like I always do, it's kind of a mess, right?
Yeah, true.
So having that low profile was something I really appreciated. Other than that, the Velcro is incredibly strong on these. Maybe just because they're new, but I was trying to take them off and I was it's got a button down low. It's got your little loop, what you'd expect. The thing that I don't like about them, so everything else I appreciate. I absolutely own these gators. The one thing is this strap having to come all the way out and undone so you can take your gator off. Yours have a buckle.
Yeah.
Or some will just have like a Velcro.
SQ2s just have your standard buckle. Do that, and they come off just like that.
Right.
And they go on just as easily as well.
Whereas these ones, you've got to unthread this, and then you can take them off. Now, it's fine. It's not too bad. But this morning, this strap, we had a fire last night. So everything's a little wet. And obviously it froze. It's 10 degrees last night. This morning, trying to feed that strap through here when it was frozen, when my hands were frozen, not great. Not a great experience. So it works. It doesn't loosen up like some gators do. You know, sometimes you'll have Velcro that'll come off or whatever.
Right, true.
Once it's on, it holds. But it's not the easiest operation. So
nope, not by any means.
But well, I don't know. You got anything else?
No.
Kind of just an overview, but
I think it's time to head down the mountain and get some coffee.
I'm hungry. Yeah, let's get out of here. Thanks for watching, guys. If this was helpful or interesting to you, like the video, subscribe to our channel for all sorts of gear-related content. And if you have any questions about some of the products that we carry, just give us a call. Find our info at gearful.com. Thanks for watching.